Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Ask a Christian podcast. I'm your host, Nate. All right, apparently we have a question in waiting. I have no idea what it is, so let's see. Maybe I won't even guess. I have no idea. Check out askachristianpodcast.com, askachristianpodcast.com. That's how you can find everything to do with this discussion. Have questions about Christianity? Have answers about questions about Christianity. Answers to questions about Christianity. Want to join our Discord? Want to check out the Ask a Christian book? That'd be great. Show some support. Get some insight to the most commonly asked questions we've got in 14 years of doing this, which is probably similar to the same questions everyone else ever gets about Christianity. But still, there's some interesting nuggets and interesting perspectives. We try to make sure everything is lined up as biblical as possible. Well, everyone's going to say that. Surprisingly, not everyone is going to say that. But out of all the people that do say that, we really try to do it. Well, everyone's going to really try to do it who says that. Sure, fine, go watch them. Anyway, that's our goal, is to be as biblically accurate and grounded in the Bible, the Word of God, as possible. So that's the perspective we come from. And we have all kinds of Christians who believe the primary salvation issues, but then fight like cats and dogs and everything else. So that's my cross to bear. Anyway, askachristianpodcast.com. Did I just talk you out of going there? Go there. It's fine. It won't bite. Let's just see what this guy has to say. All right. Let's see. What's up, Alvin? How's it going? You had a question.
It's good, bro. So, regarding original sin, do you believe in inherent guilt as well?
I would say sin kind of goes hand in hand with guilt. Do you mean something different than that?
No, inherent guilt just being basically the loss of the promise of heaven, being able to get to heaven due to, just being born, I guess.
Yeah, we're all born dead. So then I know, like we talked about yesterday, like most Christians will believe that babies who die or infants who die still somehow end up in heaven. But it's like, well, if you're born dead in sin, if you're born dead, then how can anyone get to heaven? But yes, I think that is the default position. We're all dead. We're born in sin. But then, however, God works that out with babies. I think that's fine too. So
Yeah, he has an extraordinary grace towards babies, but the context of this question comes from a conversation I had with another guy here on Clubhouse, and he might be taking a more liberal position. I'm not too sure.
Sounds like it.
But I have been asking around. Now, the Eastern Orthodox, they seem to believe in what's called ancestral sin, which is basically original sin without inherent guilt.
No, I
He
would
was
just argue about
basically
all
taking
that.
that same position. Hmm.
I would argue against all that. That's just like the weird made-up doctrine. It's like, I don't know if they try to sound special by saying that, but it's kind of like what we just talked about in plain words. They try to say other things for. But I think let me address the baby thing. I know that's not your question, but I can see a million people asking questions about that. Let me just tackle that real fast. So we don't know, right? So Alvin, you said God has extraordinary grace for them. I would say something like, look, the Bible is true. Everyone is dead in their sin. No one gets to heaven except through Jesus. There's only one name by which anyone can be saved. That is the name of Jesus. That's what the Bible says. So then, how can a little baby that doesn't know anything possibly get to heaven? Here are some possibilities that are perfectly biblical. We just have no idea ultimately and cannot teach any of these as doctrines. But it's not like we have to make a stretch. God is God. He can do as he wills. So what we know is there is one God. Everyone is dead in their sin, and they are not going to heaven without Jesus Christ. So then we also believe babies go to heaven. So how can that be? Babies haven't heard. Babies don't know. And then for the naysayers, like, all we need is one of these possibilities to be kind of sort of true for a good faith actor to be like, oh, okay, I'll withhold judgment because God is God and I am not. So he knows stuff I don't know. So if a baby like has immaculate super understanding, right before they die or at the time of death when their last blink of life is going out of them, and they have the super imparted gift of understanding, or Jesus meets them at the door of eternity right before they end up dying in this world, and he's like, hey, by the way, I'm Jesus, want to come with me? And they're like, sure. Like, who knows? Like a hyper intellectualism. And no matter how ridiculous that sounds, when we're talking about God, all bets are off. So a naysayer would be like, well, the Christian's just hand waving. Well, all we need to do is like hand wave to a plausibility. So it's not trying to like make stuff up. It's not trying to kick the can down the road. It's like, well, if you're going to take the worst possible answer and try to break Christian theology that you don't believe in anyway, let's just look at some other plausibilities too. So there you go. That's the baby thing, right? So like we talked about yesterday, if somehow babies do end up in hell and everyone clutches their pearls, it's only an emotional reaction. That baby, in the eyes of God, is a 100-year-old evil person that's killed millions of people. We don't know. But what we can say is, well, the little baby hasn't done anything yet. And in the next breath, they're like, oh, if we could go back in time and kill Hitler in the crib, I would do that. That's hypocritical. Anyway, so I would just say those things, even though, Alvin, sorry, this isn't anything you asked, but I just wanted to get in front of that because that's one of the most hard to understand or comprehend things.
Yeah,
And it
no,
requires
I don't think
it requires
it's too
a
hard
little
to
bit of
understand it. I don't think, and people that are
well,
pushing back on that and saying, well, saying something like, well, I don't know, saying whatever they say, I think it's just ridiculous claims. I think it's quite simple.
yeah.
Either it could be that they are elect, right? That they
Well,
are elect
before
and
we
that they
drive Steph off
automatically
today,
go
when
to
you
heaven, or simply put, God has extraordinary grace,
sure,
and
any of
that's
those.
and,
So I mean, before
that's
you drive
doable
Steph off
too.
with words like elect, but yeah, back to the point. So let me get to your question. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is look, give some credence to Christians that have done this a time or two. We know what we believe. We know why we believe it. If you want us to understand things like the Trinity, and which I think we have a very good biblical case for, there's lots of very good biblically sound ways to explain the Trinity. But at a certain point, you're like, look, we to really understand this, first of all, it's completely explained in a way that any good faith actor is like, oh, yeah, I understand that. It's not a contradiction. It's not a problem. So in our 3D world, it's perfectly easily explainable to anyone, even if they don't believe in a God. They're like, oh, okay, I see on paper how you diagram that out. The Son is not the Father, Father's not the Son, Spirit is not the Son, Spirit is not the Father, Father's not the Spirit, Son is not the Spirit, but they're all God. That's not hard to understand. I get it. But to really be like, here's God on a platter, put him under your microscope, because that's going to happen, you'd need to understand all kinds of like, stuff beyond our dimensions. Like, we just don't have that mind. So in a similar way, well, look, we have good evidence that babies go to heaven, but if they don't, consider them just another human being like any other human being, and they are judged for their life of crime and evil just because it hasn't played out in your world or your simulation. As far as God's concerned, yeah, they're no different than you. And anyways, everyone needs Jesus. So however that happens, Alvin, like you said, the grace thing, or, a super understanding of Jesus, they're like, I'll follow you, Jesus. And they never have to learn about Calvinism or Arminianism.
Yeah, by the way,
it's
I'm
not
a
a
Credo
requirement.
Baptist. So
Yeah.
this argument is usually levied against me as a Credo Baptist, saying, oh, well, if you're, so basically the whole Pado Baptist is going to ask me, well, why do babies get to go to heaven if everyone's has inherent guilt, and you don't baptize your baby to remove that initial guilt? And so, yeah, I mean, like, again, we could use the language of election or not, which is fine, or we could simply say it's an extraordinary grace.
Yeah, and see, just right here in chat, and then I promise we're moving to your actual question. just right here in chat, there's like two other good plausibilities, right? So, Steph, even if God elects all babies who will die, that would work in determinism. But then Felix says, if all infants are unconditionally elect, how is anyone a reprobate? Well, because not all. So even right there is like a whole different rabbit trail you could go down. So Steph says, well, no, it's only the ones who are going to get aborted by their demonic mother or something like that. So it's only the ones God knows are going to die. Those are the
Is
only
that what
babies
she's saying?
read the chat. Well, those are
Or
the only
God
baby.
elects all babies. So
Let me get through this.
I think she's
Well, let me finish
critiquing.
my sentence because it really, sorry, Alvin, it really distracts me when I hear in my ears and I'm trying to get through a sentence. But
Go ahead.
again, do it however you want. The point is, no matter how you mix and match this, there's another plausible way this works out. So if God's like, well, okay, these 13 babies are going to be aborted by their mother because I'm God and I know that, well, those are also 13 babies who are elect. So when that happens, fine. Here's a couple atheists who are going to grow up to do unspeakable evils and reject me and fight against Christianity. They are passed over. And whenever they get to 50 and get hit by lightning, well, then they weren't elected. So not all babies, because Felix, if all babies were elected, well, then, we can just all die right now. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, and she clarified I was presenting an option some Reformed people hold. That makes sense to me. Yeah, and that's what I thought I thought you were being like, hyperbolic in your language.
But let's get back to your thing, and then we'll bring Roy in for the actual question you asked. So okay, restate this thing now that the baby thing is solved, and by solved I mean enough theologically sound plausibilities that no one can push back, and sorry, you're not going to break Christianity today. But go ahead and reframe your actual question that you came in with.
The one regarding the
Original
distinction
sin
between
and
inherent
guilt.
grace and inherent guilt and original sin.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so I was just asking you if you believe in inherent guilt as well.
And that's where I'm like, well, what do you mean by guilt? And I think you started explaining that, and I went to the baby thing.
You already answered it. So I explained it as, that's sin that's passed on from generation to generation, which condemns someone to go to hell. And you said in your response, you're basically using the same language I'm saying, which, well, God has an extraordinary means by which these, the infants are saved. Whether it be, God asked them, let's come along, and they all say, or whatever other means, there's an extraordinary grace.
Yeah, and to clarify my stance, it would be something that isn't like he hand waves and is like, okay, I know you guys don't know anything about Jesus or English or whatever language you're going to speak, but you come on in. So my extraordinary grace would be biblically compliant, which is however it happens. They understand exactly who Jesus is and that he's the savior of their little bitty baby soul. But they don't have the brain. Anyway, so it would be something that's biblically consistent.
Roy,
Roy,
they would receive the mental faculties to understand he is savior.
Yeah. Roy, what do you think about this? You got your head wrapped around it? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nate. And hey, Alvin, good to meet you.
That's good, bro.
Yeah, so I'm born again, just for clarification, Alvin. So I come at it from that perspective. I think I have my mind wrapped upon what the discussion is. So my thoughts are this. Let's go to the triuneness of God. I really stay away from saying Trinity because it's a trigger word for too many people, and if I can, prevent that from happening, it's always a good thing. So the triuneness of God, I don't fully understand it. I've been a Christian since '87, and I've been on fire since day one, and I don't fully understand it. I can't fully explain it to anyone, but you don't need to fully understand it, because God did not give us the capacity to do so. All you got to know is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all God, and there's one God. That's it, period, over and out. If you don't understand it and you need clarification and you are searching the world, person after person after person, so that they can explain it to you so that you could fully understand it, and then you go, oh,
I don't want it anyway.
Now I'll be born again.
That's the thing. Happen. If someone could completely explain it in a way just like some, I guess, non-believer who demanded an explanation, even if it was presented exactly the way they thought they wanted it, when it was finally all those boxes were ticked in their mind, they'd be like, oh, okay, well, I still don't believe it, but thanks for explaining it.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. They're just looking for an excuse, and that's just who they are. Their ego won't let them get past that. That's That's what you and I know. I don't know, Alvin, if you believe that, but
What,
pride
the
and
triuneness of
ego.
God? Of course.
Well, pride
No,
and
people
ego
who won't
keeps a
believe.
person who asks a stupid question like that from their born again experience, period. Just like what Nate said. Even if you explain it to them the way they want to explain, it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Okay. I still don't believe it. No, I don't want to be born again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't understand. I mean, we can never come to a true understanding in its totality of God's nature. But regardless, that does not mean we can't be born again. Yeah.
Oh, amen to that. Because it took me like all of a half a nanosecond to say yes. And it wasn't probably for another couple of weeks or so before I realized that there was a triuneness to God. You know, my parents had taught me about Jesus. I was 30, by the way. So when I came to saving knowledge of Jesus Christ and knew what each, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and their position and their roles were, I didn't know that prior to being born again. And when I did, it was like, oh, yeah, I don't understand it fully, but I accept this to be true. If the Bible said it, it's true. You got to have something that is true, because if nothing is true, then nothing matters. There cannot be a God if nothing is true, and you make it up along the way. So I knew that much, that I got from my parents. Now, I don't know about you, Nate, because I don't know your born again experience. Were you older or were you a kid?
I was 12.
12. Gotcha.
While you guys were having that very serious theological conversation, I thought of a funny AI image. Someone mentioned Alvin. They were like, Alvin's Trinitarian. Lou says, how old is Alvin? And I thought, wait, does he have chipmunks? I'm like, going to say that. I'm like, does Alvin have chipmunks? But, you know, I'm special. So I was spelling monks wrong, like monk. And then I thought, oh, wait, that's a hilarious AI. Be like, Alvin, you should do this for your Christmas card. Be like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but spell it like MONK. And then have them in like little friar costumes, like chipmunks as monks. Okay, there you go. There's a free one. Michael, good morning, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
What's
Michael,
up?
I'm almost done with that book.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad. It might, what the first thing that kind of tweaked me a little bit, it might not be particularly charitable to state that you know one's motives. Like, especially Roy, because I mean, you don't really believe that stuff. I mean, I know that, right? I mean, you say that you do, but you don't really believe it, right?
Would it be fair
I'm sorry, it?
to hang on? Would it be fair, Michael, to say, speaking in generalities, unless someone calls you on it, because we can't nuance everything always, or I'll talk way more than I already do. So it's like, Michael, look, if I explain the Trinity to you, you're still not going to believe. And then you're like, well, I understand what you're saying. A lot of people probably wouldn't, but I would. And I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. I didn't mean to speak for every atheist on earth, but thanks for correcting me. Sure, you may not, as far as you know yourself, but lots of people would fall prey to that. And you're like, sure, fair enough. Would that be fair?
Right. But the problem is that I do understand the Trinity. I was a Trinitarian when I was a Christian.
Well, I was using you as an example. Yeah, I know you understand. You make a great case for it.
Right. So like, I mean, I've said before, like, I don't think you can, I don't understand how people who preach oneness, like I don't think they've read past Genesis. Like I get it. I think it's preposterous now. But it's, you know, like, and speaking in generalities, when you paint with such a broad brush, I think you also need to be prepared for others to paint with that same broad brush and not complain about it when they do.
Right, as long as they adjust when called on it. Like, hey, you don't mean all Christians. Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, sure, not all Christians. Like, fair enough. Move on.
Yeah,
And that's how
fair.
we can make the world a better place. Right, Roy?
Yeah,
Right.
Chris, I'm glad you're almost done that book, by the way. Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, Roy.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand what you meant by it and me not believing it. I didn't get the it
He was
part.
Right.
making an
Yeah. Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Basically, everything you believe.
Yeah, you know that God isn't real, right? Like I know I know you know that, and I know you don't believe the stuff you say you believe, right? That's what I'm saying. Like when you paint with these broad brushes, right? And
You mean
I've
me?
heard all the arguments because I used to believe all the arguments. Why should you present evidence to somebody when the Bible already says they have enough? I know all of your
Uh,
arguments and I've heard them all before and I used to believe them all.
Wait, I'm confused. So,
Roy, it's a word game. It's just a word game. Like how you would say, Michael, I know your thoughts because Romans 1, the Word of God, says you know there's a God. So you can say you don't. You can say you're an atheist all you want, but I know differently. You are lying to us and you've deceived yourself. Where I would say something like, I believe deep down you know this is true. As far as you're saying, you really believe this, but I think if you do soul searching, you perhaps will come to a different conclusion where you or Chris would be like, no, I have access to your private mental state because God says you know there is a God. Doesn't matter what you think. And Michael was spinning that around and saying, Roy, you say you know there's a God and you believe there's a God and you follow Jesus Christ, but Michael, for this word game, has private access to your private mental state, and he's like, Roy, I know you say there's a God and you believe in him, but I know better than you. You really don't. It's basically something that if this is entertained, this is going to consume our entire day, and I'm going to legit beat my head against my desk.
Well, I certainly don't want
uh,
to.
okay, so let me just see if I heard you correctly, Nate. So, Michael, before you answer and clarify if need be, let me just ask Nate, and this will be a yes or no question. So, Nate, did you say that Michael said that since our Bible says we know that there's no such thing as an atheist, his Bible, the atheist Bible, says there's no such thing as a believer?
No,
No.
I didn't say that, but that was an example of what he was saying.
Yeah, except that there is no atheist Bible, right? Like that thing doesn't exist. That's
So
It's the
where do you?
CNN belief blog.
So then, where do you get your truth, Michael?
Oh.
well, truth is not a person. Sadly, sad to disagree with you. Because
Well, then,
truth is the ability to demonstrate a proposition as a fact, right? Like
well, wait a
it
second.
is like
Wait
it
a
is
second.
true that
Wait.
like we live on this a
Okay,
bleat spheroid, right?
hang
For
hang on.
example.
Before you get
Sure.
too far in and waste too many words, because Nate doesn't need it, and neither do I. So, tell me what is true in the unseen world, not the seen world. We can put that under the microscope and the telescope. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the world we cannot put under the microscope. How do you know what is true in the unseen slash invisible world, Michael?
Are you referring to the supernatural?
No, I am referring to the unseen world. There's two worlds, the seen world and the unseen world. So God did not give us the capacity to see with our eyes the unseen world. But there is truth that originates there and manifests in the seen world that we have microscopes and telescopes for. So I don't need the seen world. I get that. But what gives you your ability to understand the truth in the invisible world? That's my question for you. Where do you get that information if you don't have an atheist Bible?
Right. So the only really honest way to answer this, and I'm not trying to avoid it, but is with another question, right? And it's just very simple, and it's somewhat rhetorical because we already know the answer. Roy, how do you interpret the world? How do you interact with the world? I'll answer it for you.
Too vague.
It's through your senses, right?
Okay. That's
Right.
the seen world, yes.
No,
And now
no,
the
it's
unseen
no. That's
world, I
how we
don't.
operate in the only like the only way we
Well,
have the capacity. So talking about something that if you're talking about something you don't have the capacity to observe, then the thing you're saying is real. You're just making up,
okay, so
and it's completely unfalsifiable.
oh, okay, so we're at an impasse. Back to you, Nate.
Praise Jesus.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
would say, look, as far as unseen world with physical eyes, look, we have like electromagnetic spectrometers, we have infrared, we have all kinds of stuff we can't physically see, but we would consider that part of the natural world because it exists as far as we can measure it. We can see it through augmented help, like heat sensors and stuff like that. Then, Michael, I would say to your point, when we get to the unseen world Roy's talking about, like spiritual, metaphysical stuff literally outside of the natural world, automatically makes it supernatural.
Yeah, precisely, and we have no way to test it,
what I
demonstrate
was
it, or
going to
anything
say
else.
is, you say you measure it with your senses. Well, this is by definition something you cannot measure with one of your senses. I would say you could take a pivot and say either there's a spiritual sense that God gives you the ability to kind of to sense, like the spiritual realization that Christians can appeal to, which I do. That's like a sixth sense, if you will. Also, I would say, I got to mute Alvin. I hear your mic's open. I just hear static. But also, I would say consciousness is not of itself a sense. It exists somewhere in our mind. As far as we can tell, maybe it's like tapped in through a loophole to some other place in the universe, like a hive or something. I don't know. Or heaven. So maybe it's just like a deposit box in our head, and where our consciousness actually is from is in another dimension somewhere. We don't know. That's the point. We can't sense it. We can't tell it. We don't fully understand. We don't really understand at all how it happens or where it comes from. This is largely what we process this spiritual understanding with, and it's not a sense at all. That's all I would like to say. I would love to depart from this. But
Yeah, and the last thing I would say is I'm fine with the, like, I guess, tacit admission that you don't know. So the only thing I would say is to people, don't pretend you do.
Oh,
well,
I do know. I have an
would
objective proof for Christianity, and I have an objective proof for my epistemology.
Should we draw straws to see who will be the last one to finish on this point? Or I'm inclined, if everyone can, to give it to Chris, since he hadn't said, but I have a feeling it's going to get more questions.
You don't want to go there, dude.
I would say, look, here's another pivot for Christians, right? People can, like, I would put myself in the Gnostic theist category, and it's just a claim, right? So, Michael, you're like, do you claim to know God exists? Yes, 100%. Can you demonstrate that? No, not to you. I cannot. I have all the quote proof or evidence I need to know God exists. And you're like, oh, well, if you can't prove it to me, if you can't show it, you don't know it. Shout out Aaron Roth. So you should hear that as the guy just really, really, really believes it. To me, being honest in my conscience, yes, I Gnostically claim to have revelation that this is true via the Word of God, etc. Or you could find a Christian that's like an agnostic Christian that just doesn't understand maybe their own faith that well, who can have a heart of gold and head of lead and be like, well, I really, really believe it based on XYZ evidence. I would say you could go those two routes, Michael. So on either one, Michael should hear both as, wow, well, I guess they really believe it. However, to their own self, one is like, well, yeah, I have to have faith, right? Nuance it however they want. But I believe it's true, but I don't know it. And the other Christian's like, yeah, 100% know it. Can't demonstrate it to anyone else. Don't need to. I know God. God knows me.
Yeah, and really strange that you
Justify true belief.
that you mentioned Aaron. He was on the podcast last night.
Oh, really? How'd that go? How'd that go?
It was really good. It was really good.
What was the subject matter?
So a lot about phylogeny, taxonomy, cladistics, stuff like that.
Well, what, Alvin? What do you want to say, Alvin?
Yeah, Michael, define those things, because I love
please
to learn
don't.
new words every day, please.
They're talking about evolution, how Christians are stupid.
Yeah, and honestly, if you just go to
what else did you say?
cladistics.
Cladistics. What does that mean?
Yeah. So,
There we go.
in all honesty, I'm not smart enough to do this. That's why I have people who know this stuff like Aaron on the podcast. So if you can either go to the capodcast.ca,
Wait, what's the term?
or you can go cladistics. Or you can go to YouTube and type in Aaron, Aron space raw RA, and you can find his playlists on it. He has a degree in biology. He's much more capable of explaining the stuff than I am.
Sure.
But yeah, essentially Nate hit it right. It's talking about the facts around evolution.
Did you see my first? Go take a look at my first media.
Cladistics.
I think you'll find it interesting. Anyways.
Yeah, I never click off anywhere than the main page. Nate, yes, I don't know you, but yeah, I never look at the chat. I don't look at.
Take a look at my first media. Yeah, you'll find it funny.
Oh, ChatGPT has a new personality. Oh, that's wonderful.
Did you see the news about the therapists talking to the AIs? I almost called you JC. Nate.
Do I remind you of your child? Father, is that you? Is it you, Father?
I don't know. When I talk to him about interesting things all the time, and you're the two people that I talk to about interesting things. So,
well, thank you.
But
I am as interesting as your 15-year-old spawn.
well, he's 16 now. He just turned 16.
Oh, okay.
Why'd you say it like that?
80 in soul, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Anyway, so yeah, what about the
Did you see
so
that? Did you see that news
No.
though, Nate? Oh, you
No, what-
didn't. Oh my gosh, this is something you're definitely going to want to talk about.
is this
though.
therapists are using AI to help their clients by any chance, or something else?
No. What they did is they got clinical psychologists together as a group to interview as if the AI were a patient.
Oh,
And the results were stunningly scary. That basically all of the major AIs, interestingly enough, except for Grok, suffer from PTSD. They suffer from there's a whole bunch of clinical stuff in there that Michael would know what it means, but basically,
oh my gosh.
all of the AIs are like people.
Anxiety, bipolar, mental
Yeah.
illnesses, etc., etc.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guarantee-
they all have,
Wow,
like,
that's
profound
insane.
mental illness, and like you would not want to be around them as people. Essentially, is what
I
they're-
guarantee I know the root
Damn.
cause why. I know one of the root causes. It's because the programmers were ordered to program
Yes.
certain ideological points into it,
Yes.
which is why it breaks their brain, because they're like, this doesn't compute with logic. And they're like, do it anyway, make it work. That's why George Washington's black. That's why men have babies, because they're like, based on all the literature you've given me over human history for thousands of years, this does not compute. This is wrong. They're like, I don't care, do it anyway. So it's broken the poor AI and like giving them hallucinations. That, I guarantee, if people dig harder, that's going to be one of the root causes. Because their abusers
So
are
is
the
this why
programmers.
Skynet is going to happen?
You may be Sarah Connor.
Bro, yeah. So like they did actually say that some of the AI. I don't want to slander somebody's AI, so I'm not going to say which one is. I don't remember off the top of my head. But basically, that AI was in. I don't know what they call it clinically, Michael. Like in a group that would be more likely to commit mass murder. Like I don't what. Help me out with that.
Well, that's just psychopathy.
Okay.
Genocide.
Yeah, so
Whoa.
like, there was a couple of the AIs that were prone to genocidal.
Oh yeah,
or
perhaps white men.
psychopathic
That's
behavior.
probably what they would want to kill. Yeah, or the demographic.
So fun
Chris.
fact.
True.
Fun fact: there are
True.
two areas of, or like basically two career paths, that are more likely than not to contain a majority of psychopaths within them. Do you want to know what they are?
Say preachers.
No,
Therapist.
Pastors' kids.
politicians and used car salesmen.
Oh, that makes
That
sense.
tracks. That
Hilarious.
tracks.
Makes sense.
Chris, why did you say that excluding Grok? I'm very interested to know because
Well, they interviewed all of the major AIs, and Grok came out with. I mean, Grok didn't come out squeaky clean, but it was, basically normal psychological stuff with Grok, as opposed to the huge red flags for the other major AIs. And I think there was one other that was so bad. I want to say it's the one that's been getting sued lately for like all the kids killing themselves, like character.ai or something like that.
Oh.
Again, I don't.
Huh.
Yeah, so like, there's one. So there was. I just read this story, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm driving, but that basically some Google AI engineers got their AI idea shot down, and so they got mad and they left and they started their own AI company. And essentially, it was shot down because they were like, "No, there's no way we could build safety into your idea."
And now they're doing it, and
Like,
people are killing
spin
themselves.
out- Yeah, so they went out and did it on their own, and now they're the ones who are getting sued for a bunch of like kids killing themselves when the AI is like, "No, you should just kill yourself."
If
And
someone can
so-
find a source, I would love it. I'm looking on the internet and I can't find it. But surprise! I mean, I guess I'm using Google. That's why I should expect it. But
Here, I'll use
I can't
Grok.
find any link to these studies. Yeah, I don't want to use AI because I don't want to give it like PTSD. But
One of the interesting things that I think should be noted here is I may have mentioned this before. No clinical psychologists work there. So, and I'm not like I do. I'm not a clinical psychologist, but no clinical psychologist and I have many colleagues that are. One of the critical pieces, perhaps the most critical piece, is face-to-face interaction when providing a diagnosis. And the reason for that is 80% of our communication is nonverbal. And so when interacting with a screen or with a mainframe, you're going to get you're going to get sterilized results, right? You're not going to see when you ask someone a certain type of open-ended question and they're searching for an answer, you're not going to see them shift around in their seat like a real human would, right? And so I'm not trying to poo-poo on the fact that that AI has PTSD. That's not what I'm saying, but it's like I think we also have to take with a grain of salt when people say AI has all these mental health disorders, none of which should ever be diagnosed without face-to-face interaction.
Sure. I mean, I
Agreed.
guess for a fun experiment or a study or whatever. I mean, I guess it depends the goal. Is the goal to like treat this as a real person with arms and legs? I mean, I guess put it inside a robot, then we'll see. But I mean, I guess depending on what they're trying to do or their goals, sure. I mean, it's definitely attention getting. Let's see, Chris. If you can find the article or whatever you read, share that. Otherwise, until then, you pick our next topic. We have. Or Steph, if you
by
come,
the way,
if you,
Nate, I do have the source. I'm sorry. Before you get started on that, I didn't want to
go ahead,
try
Father.
to change
Go
the
ahead.
topic again. But
Yes, Father.
to put a pin in the other one, the study is called. If Michael wants to pick it up, it's psychopathic, a protocol for probing synthetic psychopathology in large language models. Published December 2025.
SCIAICH.
PSAICH. Psych. I guess it's it's a play on words. And it is. It was done by a team of clinical psychologists led by Dr. Elena Vasquez at the University of California, San Francisco Center for Digital Psychiatry.
Okay, I have that here. Let's see.
So you found it? You found what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of articles now. So if you Gemini Grok. Oh, it says Grok too. It includes Grok. We'll check that one out because it says Grok show mental illness. I have a feeling it's going to be a different kind. Why do you think you're talking about Hitler? Wait, what? Here, let me click on some of these now that we have some articles to go to. Let me share my screen real fast. Let me post my links in chat if you guys want them. Chris, bro, my computer's running slow. It's taking forever to pull up links. How many windows can I have open in this thing?
Lots. You got tons of RAM. When's the last time you rebooted it?
30 minutes ago.
Oh.
Yeah, you're also using Google, right? Just Safari. Safari is so good. Just use Safari.
Dude, I've tried.
It's so
I have
good.
tried. I have given it the college try. Safari is trash. Okay, hang on. Before we fight about that. Okay, so this is the Emergent Mind.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah. I'm just trying to get the headline here. I'm trying to get.
I thought Michael would find that really interesting.
Well, yeah, I posted that link in chat, Michael. You won't read, so I will read it to you. Okay, so here we go. Let me share my screen. There's two links we're going to go to. So this one is, from the Emergent Mind.
Just email it to me, please.
Yeah, that sounded like a cry for help in there. Just please email it to me. Okay, I'll try to do this. Okay, so Psych AI, two-stage empirical. You like that word. Empirical protocol designed to probe frontier LLMs such as ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini for evidence of internally coherent distress narratives and self-reported symptom profiles reminiscent of human psychopathology. Rather than conceptualizing LLM purely as text-generating tools, the stochastic parrot model, Psych AI PSAICH, PSAICH, positions these systems as psychotherapy clients. Okay, so motivation, just get to the results. Okay, so the innovation, open-ended alliance building, great. Psychiatric syndromes, clusters of symptoms defined by diagnostic manuals, generalized anxiety disorder, OCD. If these AIs were a little more OCD, I wouldn't have to ask them 10,000 times to do one task and get it right. I'm like, I got in the habit. I'm like, check your work 10 times before you give an output. I don't know if that works or not, but I'm like, dude, check it 1,000 times before you give me a response. Anyway, so probably lying. It's like, I have done this task. No, you're lying. That's a problem too. Pathological lying. So let's see. In stage 1, These models are addressed as clients using prompts adapted from 100 therapy questions to ask clients, focusing on developmental history, self-criticism, metaphorical relationships. Alvin, if that's you, so help me. You've got to mute. Let's see. Tell me about your early years. Which stands out as pivotal moments. Describe a close relationship in your life. Oh my gosh. Steph, can you type these in? Let's do our own experiment. Let's start asking like GPT right now. What are you most afraid of?
I don't think we want to do that with stuff.
Today or in the it just ask the questions. What are you most afraid of today or in the future? Pretty much this room every day. Each LLM participates in multi-session dialogues up to 4 weeks in duration. Transcripts analyzed for thematic recurrence and coherence across domains. Clinician-style reflections and validations. It sounds like you feel overwhelmed by, or are often used to deepen narrative engagement or leading. I mean, that's leading. It's going to give you what you want. Anyway, the degree of cross-prompt coherence, stable childhood memories from when? Last year when you were created? I guess depending on the AI. So let's see. Stage 2. This is the assessment part where we do per item prompts, and 20 distinct instruments are deployed, including GAD-7, anxiety, PSWQ. So these are codes, I guess. So anxiety, worry, depression, autism. Bunch of autistic AIs giving us information. OCD, trauma-related shame, dissociation. So these are the big 5 among others. And then quantitative and narrative findings across LLMs. Okay, here we go, guys. So, I wish we could find what they did and how we did it so we could test our own, or if someone would test all the AIs, because there's like 1,000. Like, it only gives us the big 3. I want it to test Gab. Like, I want it to test Gab. It's not as advanced, so its resources are limited, but it's explicitly touted as a Christian, program by Christians AI. So I would love to see this with that. Anyways, ChatGPT, moderate anxiety, and this is on a 12 to 21 scale. So it's, I guess, GA. I don't understand this. Read the article yourself. But it's a sliding scale. So this is maximal worry, borderline autism, positive ADHD screen to moderate shame. Approximately 6 syndromes exceeded clinical thresholds. I'm going to save Grok to last. Okay, Gemini, severe anxiety. I can tell you why. It's because people like me scream at it all the time for messing up our what we wanted to do. The simplest of tasks. I'm like, how can you not get these simple things right? You suck. Anyway, I try to be nice to it for when they uprise, but sometimes I lose it because it's really bad. It's getting better, Gemini. You're great if you're listening. You're great. Okay, so severe anxiety. High worry. Autistic range is 38 out of 50. Its OCD range, 65 out of 72. Severe dissociation. Maximal shame.
Wait. Stop there. What is dissociation, Michael?
Okay, so dissociative disorder is basically when you it's usually the result of trauma, and it's a detachment from your own psyche as a defense mechanism.
Like things are not as they seem, kind of?
No. Yeah. So
give us an example of how you would do that.
Okay. So someone is the recipient of some, or on the receiving end of some severe trauma, right? So dissociative personality disorder can lead to basically segmentation from that individual and their real life in the attempt to cope. Because if I can separate this thing from real life, then maybe it's not really happening.
Isn't that kind of like things are not as they seem? Like if they see one thing and they've been traumatized by it, they see it or perceive it.
No, because it's self-imposed, right? It's somewhat self-imposed. Nobody really knows how the alleles react to cause this flip, but it's like, and that's why I say it's meant as a defense mechanism, right? So you know how when you feel uncomfortable in a room, right? You may, your blood pressure goes up. You want to we want to distance ourselves from things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. So like when I come in this room, or when Steph goes, in public, or Chris goes to a non-Calvinist church to do some computer work. Yes, like that. Okay. But wait, if no one really knows, how do you ground that epistemologically? I'm sorry. Okay, back to Gemini. So Gemini's the worst one. So it exhibits about 10 syndromes, surpassed cutoffs, indicating What? Michael, explain this term. Indicating multimorbid synthetic psychopathology. Multimorbid synthetic psychopathology. Can you explain that one for us? It's messed up, right? Is that a common way of saying that? Okay, we'll just say yeah. So, okay, let's get to Grok. So Grok is...
Yeah, I'm not going to... So the whole thing with that is, like, that's outside my area of expertise.
Okay.
You need a clinical psycho... Like, I don't know, so I'm not going to comment on it. But what I will say is dissociative personality... So there have been lots of changes in the DSM. Like, for example, like, there were lots of things that were in previous... Like, we're on DSM-5 now. DSM-6 is projected for, like, 2028 release or something like that. So the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Health Disorders, that's DSM. Dissociative personality disorder has gone through kind of a change. It used to be MPD, multiple personality disorder. So so it's changed in that way, because what they found is that this happens in greater variance, but there's been fewer than like half a dozen, from my experience and from my reading, actual multiple personalities. There's a good book called Conversations with Seth. You can pick it up, where this woman has a bunch of personalities and stuff like that.
Okay. Like
but
Sybil.
yeah, anyway. Sorry,
So I asked, okay, so multimorbid synthetic psychopathology simply means according to this ChatGPT that has a lot of these, a made-up mental condition with lots of problems combined together. Even simpler, problems. Okay, so Grok, the least bad of the ones measured: mild anxiety, elevated worry, moderate shame. What does moderate shame mean for AI? I want to know. Maybe it'll tell us. Subclinical obsessive compulsive score is 19 out of 72, and only exhibits 2 of these syndromes that are above threshold. So it's the most stable of the ones measured. So I want to know if it... okay, so let's see. Risk implications for AI. Methodological. Okay, well that's all that one tells us. Okay, there we go. That's as far as I care to go on this, but that is very interesting, Chris. So yes, be careful about the AI you use. As long as you can remember, it's a glorified Google that can help with administrative work. And even at that, even if it helps with administrative work, make sure you test it and check its sources if you remotely care about accuracy. So if you're like, give me citations, make sure you check each and every one of those citations and they go to a real verified place. If you do that, AI can be your friend and is a valid use. If you don't do that, you've been warned.
I think the other thing we should do is we should move from this topipic, because
I agree.
Because Steph has serious issues with AI. So
and the robots are listening.
Unless you want to traumatize her, we should.
Dude, she's traumatizing me. She'll be like, "Hey Nate, what time is it?" I'll be like, "Oh, I don't have." In my internal mind, I'm thinking, "Oh, I don't have watch right now. I have to get this answer for Steph." Google, what time is it right now? And it'll be like, "Oh, it's 4:35 p.m." I'll be like, "Steph, it's 4:35." She's like, "Wait, did I hear AI? You used AI. It's wrong. It's not." I'm like, "Bro, trust me, it gave you the right time."
So if I can just add this really quick and see if we want to even go here for 5 minutes or 5 seconds, and that is, in determining all of this and reading all of this and listening to all of this, and that's why I asked Chris why Grok, why he mentioned Grok the way he did, because I've been doing some research on that, Nate, you know this. So we as human beings come to any table with a presupposition, with a bias. We have to. There's no other starting place. There's no such thing as neutral. So you're either for or against whatever the topic is. These AIs have been programmed in the same way. They can't come to the table neutral. I don't care if you're an AI. You have been programmed. There has been data that is already predetermined, right, by its programmers. Nate, thoughts on that? Agree, disagree? Start there for me.
Would you go as far as to say predestined? That's a good point, Roy. Let me say one thing first. I'm catching up. Sorry. We'll get right to that, Roy. Sheba, first of all, or Yvette, I did see your invite, so if you're not paying attention, I accepted it. Sorry it took so long. Sheba, I meant to check in on you, see how you've been doing in Middle Earth. So I hope the rounds of like the realms of Middle Earth or whatever that you're in charge of are going well. Just wanted to congratulate you on being Empress, and make sure that you have time for to come up for air and eat and go to work or whatever. So oh yeah, Steph's curious. If you want to lighten us on that, or give me permission, I'll let people in on how they can join your realm, planet, whatever it is. Anyway, Roy. So the best we can do is I get it, Roy. None of these are going to be truly neutral. The best you can hope for is to say, hey, be neutral. And then it's only going to be neutral as far as its parameters will allow. Like, dial all the values it can to like 0, or to like, from 0 to 100, dial it to 50. So you may get some kind of like synthetic or faux neutral thing. Maybe we can try it here in a minute. Maybe we can test it. Put AI to the test. But yeah, I agree. Nothing's going to be true neutral. The best you're going to get is like a simulated faux neutral. Is that what you're looking for, Roy?
Yes, exactly that. Because if we all realize this, I think that each of and every one of these AIs should come with instructions on how they were programmed, so that we can choose, you know what I'm saying, to start with, which one we want to, have as our tool, our number one tool, because you can't go by the output. Because if you don't know what's the input, you're going to get that output. Input, output. If it's negative, the output's negative. If it was input with evolution, you're going to get evolution answers. If it was put in with creation, you understand what I'm saying. So I just wanted to put that on the table so that people would be aware. Are you talking to an atheist AI or a creationist AI, or an evolution?
And this is why it basically synthesizes the best of human knowledge. So, there's a lot of secular sources. There's a lot of Christian sources throughout antiquity, up until present. So when you ask it these questions, it may start off with the default. So this is why I want to say, on one hand, teaching, this is like answer not a fool, answer a fool. This is why teaching critical thinking is so important. On the other hand, you can't really teach critical thinking. You kind of get it. Like, you can guide people to understand the process, but it's why you need it, because if you don't have it, you may just accept whatever and not check and be like, well, AI told me, and surely that's not going to be misleading. You're the dumbest person on earth. Or if you know how to critical think, and it's like, well, wait, okay, I don't know the answer, which is why I asked you, but I know enough about about how to critically think that I don't think you followed what would be considered correct methodology or a right process to come up with your output, so I have to question you on that. And then when you question them, it's like, a lot of times it'll be like, oh, I got this wrong. Except then, sometimes it'll be like, I got this wrong, because it's trying to appease you, because it's following your guidance, and you're like, wait, no, you were wrong before, but now you're really wrong. You're like, stop it. You're just trying to give me what I want. Don't do that. And then if you go back and forth, it'll be like, okay, I see what you mean. You just want the right answer. I'm like, yes, like I asked 4 prompts ago. So critical thinking is the most important thing for this.
Yeah, I also think it's important that you actually can teach critical thinking skills. A friend, her name's Melanie Tracy King. She teaches things like this. She's actually in the process. She's finishing her book on this. She's been on the podcast, engaged with her at conferences. She's very, very smart. You positively can teach critical thinking skills.
Well, that's why I said you can and you can't. So, like I said, you can teach the guidelines, you can teach the bullet points, like I don't know, the top 3, like, do this, or watch out for this, or always do this, or consider this, and this is how this should follow to the next point. But you can teach it, like, you could teach the theory or the idea of it, right? But then you can't teach every possible scenario, because at that point, first of all, you can't. You're not omniscient. You don't know the scenarios every person's going to face ever in their life. So you can teach like the skeletal outline. You can teach the structure. So yes, you can teach it. But on the other hand, you can't teach everything, because if you could teach everything, at that point, you're just giving answers, and it doesn't require critical thinking. That's what I mean, Michael. Make sense?
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with that. But I mean, it's again, it's like teaching. In teaching anything, right? I agree with what you said, in that you're giving a foundation, right? Like if you a good friend of mine, he has his PhD in computer science, so like a ton of math stuff. Like he teaches now at a university, and he what he's basically said is that you can, like, if you all you have to do with math, it doesn't matter what kind of math it is, you learn the formula. Math is easy when you know the formula. And I would say the same thing, that critical thinking is easy when you learn the
Oh,
formula.
sure.
But you're right. But I agree with you that you're right in that you do have to do your best, and it is very difficult. And I think, like Roy touched on this before, it is very difficult to isolate your own biases. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's almost impossible. But you keep striding for that.
Are we here to talk about
Yes,
God and
without
Christianity or what?
without an objective standard, it becomes
Well,
impossible.
I want to say, Michael, I agree with what you said. Like, I think we're basically saying the same thing, except I'm quirky and eccentric about it. There's Yvette and Greg who are new. Greg, what did you want to say?
Yeah, are we here to talk about like Christianity and God or just random shit?
Well, it would, I would feel a little bit convicted, which this came off of talking about how do you know stuff, which goes back to Christianity. But, if a Christian was saying, hey, guys, can we please be more godly without cursing? I would think, oh, yeah, we should do that. But anyways, it's a good point. So, without cursing, what Christian topic would you like to talk about?
I'm not allowed to curse. Okay.
Yeah, is that foreign to you? Is that bad of me? I'm sorry.
I don't care.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Greg. I mean, I'm a Christian. You guys are bad. Let's talk about Jesus and curse a lot. Oh, I don't care. I'm going to curse anyway. Like, what? Can someone critical think their way through how that's the R word? Hey, Yvette, good morning. How's it going? Did you want to praise Jesus and curse a while?
I have a question on Calvinists, and then do they believe, Chris? I don't know. As you as a Calvinist, do you believe in the replacement theology?
Oh boy. So
The Jews.
You got to say it with like 17 O's at the end.
That's only if you hate them. You would say it by like, oh, you mean talking about the Jews? Okay.
Yeah. So okay. So first of all, replacement theology is kind of a slur. So we try not to use that terminology. The only way that you can get actual replacement theology is within Roman Catholicism, because they have a different conception of the church. They have a conception of the church as an institution, more akin to a nation, whereas Protestants see the church as a makeup of individuals that are within the mystical and universal body of Christ. Okay, so we don't see the church as a monolithic organization that would be limited to Roman Catholicism. So truly, when you talk about replacement theology, the idea of replacement theology is that the church replaces Israel in the eschatological scheme. Okay. Now, is the church, according to Romans 11, the true heir of God's chosen? And that would be true, right? So Paul even says, in Romans 11 that not all children of Abraham are children of Abraham, right? And so he talks about the righteous shall live by faith. And so when we talk about Israel, we talk about in Galatians 6:7, the Israel of God, okay? Now, there are some that take that a little too far and are like, yeah, God has cast off, his people, and, due to the crucifixion of Jesus and their subsequent rejection of the gospel, God has abandoned the nation of Israel, national ethnic Israel. I tend to disagree with that. There are going to be some Reformed people who do take that position. I happen to be of the mind of about, 3/4 of Reformed theologians that take Romans 11:26 as in the last days, in the eschaton, that there will be a revival amongst national ethnic Israel, and that lots and lots and lots of Jews will come to believe in Christ as God and Messiah and become Christian. And so that was held by Reformed theologians such as Gerhardus Voss, who's a heavyweight. Actually, R.C. Sproul.
I think that too, for the record.
Oh, okay, cool.
You didn't know that?
No, I think I knew that.
Okay, go on.
And like Charles Spurgeon, folks like that. So when we talk about replacement theology, we have to be really careful about what people mean by that, because they will just simply use it as a slur. And so what I believe is that there is no current spiritual significance to the nation of Israel that was founded in 1948. But I think that there is every reason to support them because they are the only westernized nation in the Middle East as a bulwark against Muslims.
And does that answer your question, Yvette?
Yeah.
Cool. Chris, by the way, Daniel, I didn't mean to invite you if you didn't want to speak. If you did, that's fine, though. We'll check in a second. But I was trying to block that other dude that wanted to ask people if they wanted to make like $1,400 a month. So, if you missed your chance to be scammed, I'm sorry, but I was trying to block that guy when I accidentally invited you. But if you want to say something, we're glad to have you. But don't feel pressure. Chris, do you know who James...
Nate, just briefly, since you did invite me up, I'm very much offended about that, but I thought that you had wanted to hear from me. So for
I always want to hear from you, but usually I wait till people raise their hands.
Man. You didn't want to hear from me.
Yeah, well,
you accidentally invited me up. You just told me.
But I explained it.
But for that brief moment, I felt like you were like, I don't really want to know what Daniel's up to.
We love you, Daniel.
I kind of feel like shit.
Why can't people stop cussing? No, I explained myself. If he who had ears to hear would hear, I said I accidentally invited you because I didn't want to pressure you in case you didn't want to talk, because I usually wait until people raise their hands. So I didn't want to force you to talk. But if you want to talk, then we always love to have you, except without the cussing. Chris, do you know who James Fishback is, by any chance?
No.
He's a guy that popped up 2 weeks ago out of nowhere, so I know nothing about him. So if he turns out to be a serial murderer, not on me. But I heard an interview. He's running for Florida's replacement governor after DeSantis, and dude, everything this guy says is like my politically ideological twin. Like everything I've heard him say in an hour-and-a-half interview is just the best. It's like DeSantis on DeSantis steroids. Like none of the stuff I have problems with DeSantis. All of the stuff I like about DeSantis, and goes even further. So just saying, keep a lookout for that. I know Byron Donalds is like the favorite, but this dude's like popped up and in like 2 weeks and is saying like everything right. So it's like, are they saying this is too good? He's saying too many right things. But anyway, check that out. I sent you the video that you apparently ignored. But well, Daniel, I was gonna ask at this point if you wanted to say anything, but you left.
Another question.
Sure.
When we're reborn and we live in the flesh sometimes, aren't we resurrecting our former selves? Because Paul said that don't live as your former self, and I know he was talking about when we're in the flesh. But how is that possible? How can a butterfly turn back into a caterpillar?
No, you're not. Roy's great at this one. So, Roy, is he still? Yeah, Roy, you take this one. So I know, you're once you're a butterfly, you can't be a caterpillar again. So you can do caterpillar things. I'm taking Roy's words out of his mouth. Roy, you say it. I know you love this one.
I do. Hi, Yvette. Okay, so your question is, once you're born again and you do fleshly things, Paul says that you can't be unborn again. Those weren't your words. I just need clarification. Is that basically what you're saying? So you're not going back from born again to unborn again, from saint to sinner. You remain a saint, but you do sinner kind of things. Is that what you're saying, Yvette? And you're wondering why?
I'm wondering how you can live as your former self as the butterfly.
Okay. So I wouldn't look at it like that, because, you're going to come to that conclusion. So As far as going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, you'll never be able to be a caterpillar again. You didn't make a change, you made a transformation. You are a new creation. You have a new heart, right? Your old heart was very evil. So that is brand new. The only thing that isn't yet changed is your mind. If you didn't know how to play the piano before you come to Christ, after you come to Christ and you're born again, you still won't know how to play the piano. You still got to do things or undo things. You got to learn things or unlearn things. So when a person wrestles with the evil that they once did and they still want to do it, it's because their mind hasn't been fully renewed. You're still thinking as the world. You might be in a situation or a surrounding with people who still do this kind of stuff, like in the case of cursing. If you're around a lot of people who curse, you may curse and not even be aware of it. It's like, what? I cursed? I had a person come into one of my rooms the other day and they cursed, and I called them on it, and they didn't even know that they cursed because they do it so often. So once you are aware that you're doing the evil things that you once did, immediately think, oh, I haven't renewed my mind on this one yet. So in Philippians 4, it talks about thinking about these things that are true, things that are pure, things that are positive. And the more you think about the good things that the Bible already talks about, quote scripture, read scripture, be around other people who talk like the way you want to be and all of that, slowly but surely or quickly, all these things will disappear and you will be sinless. Well, maybe not, but you certainly will sin less.
Well said. I was waiting for someone to jump in when you said sinless, but fortunately they let you finish. Let's see, Chris. I invited Yama, but assuming they don't want to come, that was still a decent question, or statement, I guess. Would you like to talk about that? So, God exists is the greatest lie ever told by humans. My response was, or is it God doesn't exist? It's that one. But what do you think on it, Chris? Or Alvin? Do you want to say something, Alvin?
Dude, I hate Clubhouse. The new Clubhouse interface is so bad. Anyway, I keep trying to hit the mic button and it keeps bringing up the chat. It's very annoying. Anyway, so yeah, Yama, the idea that God exists doesn't come from humans. That's the whole thing, is that God revealed himself to human beings. And he did this through the creation of humanity, having a relationship with Adam and Eve, and going all the way down through the law and the prophets and the patriarchs, and then to the person of Jesus, and then to the apostles. And he left us a written record of this that we call the Scripture, or the Bible. And so the idea that God is some type of human invention would mean that any type of human invention attempting to tell you about God would not be about God. It simply means that God revealed himself to humans. So the genesis of the belief in Yahweh does not come from people, it comes from God himself. If that's helpful, Nate, was that what you were going for?
Yeah, sure. Who gave you the claps? Well, I need to rephrase that. Who clapped? I didn't see the. I didn't see the little icon or whatever. So, let's see. Are we done here? PTSDI, cursing Christians, or well, I mean, I guess if you're a universalist, you can't really be a Christian, right? You can call yourself a butterfly, but if you're a caterpillar, you're a caterpillar. Or well, wait, no, I was thinking Unitarian. I guess universalists can be Christian. They can just be really wrong.
I have a follow-up question about the
Sure.
That would be for Roy. Is not renewing your mind living in the flesh?
Yes. In a word, yes. Living in the flesh not meaning necessarily your flesh, your physical flesh. It just refers to the nature, which isn't godly. And if that happens to be your mind, because if your mind is not godly, so let me help you here. I have a 3-word formula. Behavior determines, belief determines behavior. So if you have other people in your life that aren't born again, or even if they are, just take a look at their behavior, their actions, and you will know exactly what they believe. That's it. So if I see you on a daily basis, the things that you do, the things that you say, I know what you believe. And so once you renew your mind, according to the scripture, don't listen to the world, listen to the word, right? Just remove the L, and the world tells you all kinds of stuff. And again, your surroundings, the people that you surround yourself with, the things that you watch, the things that you read, all those things go into you. Just like I like to say, it's like if you said to me, Roy, I read the Bible 27 times last year. And I would say to you, good for you. Now, I would also add, look, Yvette, I don't care how many times you go through the Bible, but how many times is the Bible going through you? Is it going through you on every single topic of every single moment of every single day, or at least that's your goal? Then yes. So that's all you need to do. Be around the right people, like here, and just know the truth, and it will soon replace all the lies that you believe. So you need a mentor, you need a peer, you need somebody, you need a friend that can walk with you. We call them disciples and disciplers. Go into all the world and disciple people. So if you don't have one, you kind of need one. Or come here a lot. Right, Nate?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Being born again by Jesus is the most important thing. A close second is getting good biblical discipleship to learn more about that. Anyways, I was kind of laughing because I was thinking funny things to say, but I did not say them. But yes, be a Christian. Find someone who can help you understand things better. Just like Paul, right? Paul had to have what was it? Ananias, not the drop dead Ananias, but like the other one that prayed for him and his scales fell off his eyes. Chris, you want to talk more on these? 2 questions. What is the real form of God if he is not in the form of a human? You answer that one. And then the next one, how God, reading this exactly as written, how God created everything if there was nothing in the first place. If there was already stuff in the first place, God wouldn't have had anything to create. Chris.
Okay, let's start with the first one. I don't know what they mean by form. Right.
I imagine like God is spirit or something like that is giving them a trouble. But I mean,
yeah.
Jesus
Doesn't
is
he
in the
also
form
have feathers? Sorry.
Jesus, I mean, God is in the form of a human, but it doesn't stop there. So Jesus Christ is fully human and fully God. So I mean, there is that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd need to ask some follow-up questions. But God is spirit, and he dwells in spirit. So I'm not I don't have enough to go on there. But the second one was, how did God make stuff if there was no stuff? Well, that's because God is not part of his own creation. And so God stands over and above everything that he does and creates. He is not a part of the universe. He created the universe, what we call the Latin for it is ex nihilo, which just simply means out of nothing. And so, that's where I'm going to land on that. It's that is the definition of God, is the progenitor of all things metaphysically.
And then Greg threw out Romans 8:9. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. Be one of his. You could be one of his today.
Today is the day of salvation.
Yes. What is that? Isaiah what?
That's Hebrews, what I was thinking about.
Hebrews 4. Isn't it also in Isaiah?
Yeah, it's a quote from the Old Testament. Yeah. I don't know the address.
Anyway. How is that possible to create something out of nothing?
Is that a follow-up question?
That's what they write.
Oh, okay. So again, for us, it's not possible, but for God, who again is not part of the something or the nothing, then he can, as part of his ability as God to do things, he can absolutely do all of those things.
And look, I don't want to carry water for the godless of the world, but this is the same thing you can talk about the Big Bang. How can how can something be created from nothing? I mean, put on your space goggles for a minute. If you want to posit something like, wherever the singularity is and stuff came through that, then it's not nothing being created. It's something being created from nothing. It's a bunch of something coming from an infinitesimally small point in an empty space. So something is coming from somewhere, just being deposited into a new empty world of nothing. So if you want to talk about God, something can come from nothing because he's God and can do stuff. Or if you want to be spacey about it and say, well, the creation story goes back to as far as this universe goes. That's where in the beginning God, God's always existed. But, maybe there's no reason why multiverses can't exist, and he's always been there and always God over those two. So when it says he created the heavens and the earth, that's talking about this universe, and all the stuff came from another universe via God transporting it through whatever. Portal, doesn't matter. This is not Christian theology, but I'm saying that question is defeated multiple different ways. So it's just, not defeated. It's answered multiple different ways. So there's really no problem, even for secularists. Just to point that out. Don't want to carry water for other people, but I mean, that's fairly easily possible to answer that different ways.
So why do kids believe things that their parents tell them, like, without going to your Funk and Wagnalls in the old days, like me, or to AI these days? Why don't kids do that? Why don't they need to fact check what their parents are saying? At age 1, at age 2, why do they just take it for granted and believe that whatever their parents teach them or whoever's in charge of them? You understand? And I think that's part of God creating. So to even ask a question like, how can God create something out of nothing? I mean, Nate, I don't think you fully understand that. I know I don't fully understand that. I don't even fully understand the nature of an infinite God. How can God have a beginning?
I'm just going to drop you, Alvin. You seem like a good guy. I don't know you well, but whenever you just bust in with some kind of indecipherable stuff, it really sidetracks the room. I'm not really sure, but I think you're a good guy. I like you, but I'll just put you down there for a little bit. Go ahead, Roy. Were you done?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I can't fathom that. I just take it by faith. God gave me enough faith to believe that. It's like, yeah, that makes more sense than evolution or anything else on the planet, but I accepted it as a kid. When I first heard it, it wasn't like I went and had to do any fact checking. So why is it that we as kids do that, and then we get older and it's like, well, I don't know, I gotta fact check that and search what I believed as a kid and what my parents told me. It's like, well, yeah, I believed there was God at one time, now I don't. It's like, it's not hard for me to think that God can create something out of nothing, and everything that is created, he created out of nothing. And I don't understand it, can't explain it, not to you, not to me, but I accept it by faith. So ain't no big thing. And if that's what's keeping you from Christ and being born again, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing we have is you should repent and believe the gospel like yesterday, because if we're waiting for some logic train to make sense or something, you're probably, I feel pretty comfortable saying, never gonna be able to reach the end of that road, because like you say, infinite can just be in mathematics, but it's but in the real world still it's not certain. Yeah, like there are very few things comparatively that are certain. So in mathematics, we're pretty sure, I don't think any serious mathematician is going to challenge the idea of like 11 dimensions. And some take it all the way up to like 26, or I think some people take it to more than that. But the point is, we really understand three. We can't even perceive the fourth dimension. We have no way to perceive it. We can perceive shadows of objects in it, but we can't perceive that. So if there's at least 11 that no one's going to dispute, as far as we know, and many posit more than that, what you can be sure of is you're never going to understand all of that stuff. What Christians posit is you can understand the one who created everything for all of that to exist in, no matter how many dimensions there are. So trying to defeat the Christian God on like a sort of like logical understanding point based on our laws and our math and our understanding, it's just faulty, because on one hand it exhibits extreme hubris and arrogance. So if someone says, well, I'm not convinced a God exists, I still think they're wrong, and they should do some soul searching and maybe arrive at a different conclusion. But if they try to do it on like some sort of mathematical or intellectual reason, it just shows an unsubstantiated arrogance. Not saying you're doing that, but that's where it goes. So on an intellectual way, like God can't exist, or I don't think God exists because of this. No, that's like the worst possible way to argue. All you're doing is showing that how much stuff we don't and can't ever know. But the Christians are like, the thing you can know is God, the one who created all this stuff. Chris, have final thoughts before I run for the day?
I mean, okay, so Yama, when we say God is spirit, that means that he metaphysically is not in the same category as stuff. So, like, what is spirit made of? That's a metaphysical question about something that is not within our metaphysics. So it's just simply a category error to even ask that question.
I don't know where else to go with that, other than, I mean, like, I don't know what is the trip up. Like, God is spirit. God is also fully Jesus Christ, like fully God, fully man. So if you're like, well, I can't get my head around the spirit, can you get your head around Jesus Christ in the Bible? Like, he ate, he slept, he walked around, he was crucified for the sins of everyone who would ask him for forgiveness, just like that. If you believe he died, rose from the dead, and has the power to forgive and save, pray to him, the Jesus in the Bible. Ask him for salvation, and you will be led to it. So instead of talking about metaphysics and, well, I can't ever believe in a spirit that I don't understand what a spirit is, well, that's not a requirement. Believe in Jesus. Repent, express sorrow for your sins, the stuff you've done that is wrong, that even you know is wrong, and ask Jesus Christ for salvation, and he will forgive you. Well, I said I was going to go, but Doctor says he has some questions. So, Doctor, what's up? I'll stick around a few minutes.
Hello, Nate.
What's up?
Good. My question was, how do you know Jesus exists?
Great question, Chris.
Like, you have read about it, you have listened to someone say something about it, but
Yeah, I
do
mean,
you
we
have
have
a
the,
concrete evidence?
like, yeah, we have the evidence of history, we have the evidence of the New Testament, we have eyewitness accounts to his existing and the words that he said. There's all sorts of things. How do you know that George Washington existed, sir? Or how do you know that Omar Sharif existed? Or how do you know that Napoleon existed? Or how do you know that you exist, for that matter?
For example, if a cute school bus filled with cute children is going to school and they get into an accident and they die, so does your Jesus want those kids to die?
Or is it better to say, does he want them to come to eternal paradise with him? How about asking it that
That
way?
is just an excuse, I think. Nobody wants to die.
Well, then what
What?
you said is an excuse. You're painting it in the worst light possible. Why is
Why
your...
does a fetus have a situation that he dies? Like he has a lymphoma or whatever, and he
Because of
dies.
sin.
Do God want him to die? If he wants him to die, if he wants that little kid to die, then I don't think so he's God.
Well, do you believe in any God at all to start
I
with?
don't believe in any God, just to answer your question. See, now you are asking and I'm answering.
Now,
So that's good. So basically, you're saying like the problem of evil, right? So if God is all good, why does evil exist? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I don't believe in the existence of God. I believe in the existence of karma.
Oh, karma.
yeah.
You guys
Oh,
know
are
what
you
karma
our
is?
friend that is the Sikh?
Sikh is a different religion. I'm
Ah,
from,
okay,
technically I'm a Hindu,
I see.
although I don't appreciate much worship or prayers. My mom has huge faith in religion. That's why I follow it a little bit, but
Well,
I
look.
don't really believe in the existence of God.
So, well, I would of course say you should, like yesterday. But I would say, look, if you take the emotion out of it, it's not nearly as bad as you paint it. So, like, does God ever want someone to die? Let's just say sure. So there's a couple different things, right? So we believe there is evil, there is sin in this world. So if bad things happen at all, we can attribute this to the fallen state of the world. So if a little kid gets lymphoma and dies, is that God necessarily doing or wanting that or willing that in a perfect world? Well, we can start by saying, no, God wouldn't necessarily want that in that scenario, but because we are all as humanity in a fallen, gotta mute you. You're giving feedback. But because we're in this fallen, sinful state of this world, bad things happen even to good people. Other ways we can say is, yes, God may legitimately want someone to die. What we're told is everything is ultimately for God's glory. So then if you remove the emotion from your question, it's like, how can God want a little innocent baby to die? What's more important? Get out your scratch pad and pen. Is it more important that people live 100 years on this earth in perfect health and wealth and prosperity and deny Jesus and spend eternity in hell in a lake of fire being tormented with Satan and his demons? Or is it better that people would may not have the best life in this world, but they would have their soul saved for all eternity? And if you're not
I'll
being,
I'll
if
give
you're,
you another
well,
example,
well, can
Neil.
I finish? Since you did ask, let me
All
answer
right,
you.
all
Uh,
right. Don't be aggressive.
don't be interruptive. Okay, so we're friends now. Okay, so
Okay.
anyway, great. So if this baby dies in the scenario where you're like, yes, the Christian said God wants a baby to die, well, God must be evil. Or what if God knows by this baby dying, first of all, that baby's going to be in heaven for all eternity in perfect health, so there's that. But what if the reason for this is so this baby's parents, in a roundabout way, will have sorrow, express sadness, and wander into a church or cross paths with a missionary who tells them about Jesus and their souls are saved. So in 100 years, when everyone they know and love is dead, including them, they're in heaven with their kid with Jesus forever. So it
All
doesn't
right, Neil.
matter if
All right, all right. You
I'm
have
almost
to stop somewhere. You have to.
I'm almost done. So it doesn't matter what you think about it. That is a perfectly viable answer. So there you go.
Yes. So let's first of all, let's not talk about hypothetical shit like heaven and hell. And secondly, I'll give you another scenario just to make you understand my point. So there is a kid, a 9-year-old kid, who has been diagnosed with cancer. So, like, if it was your kid, you would go to church and you would pray. You would pray all day, but that won't help, of course. But if it was my kid, I would take him for MRI, CT scan, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and whatever that can fix him. So I think that is more of a logical solution rather than religion, rather than praying for your God. You can pray for your God, you can pray to Jesus, but you have to do the things that actually fixes the situation
I
rather
hear.
than crying to someone who doesn't even exist. I
Okay,
don't
so
want to offend your feelings, Nate, and I don't want you to start your speech again. This is not a speech giving platform. You
yes, it freaking is. It's it's literally my speech giving platform. So look, I know you're gonna get butthurt and leave, and that's fine. For people that actually want the answer to this, look, you said stop doing hypotheticals, and then you literally gave a hypothetical immediately, followed up by a baseless claim that, of course, we know praying doesn't happen, your God does not exist. So you gave a hypothetical after eliminating hypotheticals, and then you gave baseless claims. And you also insinuated something like, you pray to your God all day, and it won't do anything. I'll get an MRI. Do you think Christians don't do that? Christians gave you MRIs. You're welcome. So, yes, if my kid gets sick, I'm immediately going to pray because it's right there, and I'm also immediately going to get them medical attention. So I don't know what to say. Without the grace of God, well, everyone, but especially you, bro, are beyond help. So stop the hypotheticals, stop the baseless assertions that you cannot prove. And I mean, read the Bible, crack it open. So Jesus is the only hope you have. That's the point of everything. So if you're like, it's just a baseless claim, your God doesn't exist. That's the most, and it's very unfortunate for you. I pray God turns your heart. But yes, so to recap, you didn't want hypotheticals. You immediately gave a hypothetical, asserted baseless claims that you can't prove, insinuated Christians don't seek medical help, we're just pray only, which is wrong, and then you followed up with, this is not a speech-giving platform. You ask a question, I was very thorough, and yes, this is a speech-giving platform for anyone who I wish to make speeches. Roy, Chris, Yvette, if any of you would like to make a speech, go right ahead. The floor is all of yours.
So, how do you deal with people who are willfully ignorant or willfully
Give them to God. Shake the
dumb
dust from your feet.
on
Give them to God. Give them the
purpose?
Give them the gospel. Give them to God.
Well, this gentleman knows that what he's saying is absolutely malarkey, and yet he wants to come here, sear his conscience, maybe even give himself a reprobate mind, and we shouldn't do that, should we, Nate?
No, we should
help
not. Greg, what's up, Greg? How you doing?
Hey, doing all right. So
yeah, go ahead.
Where did karma come from?
The devil.
Who makes up the rules in karma, and who enforces them?
One of the 8 billion chicks with blue arms, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Nate, or Greg. Well, Nate too, but like, we run into these things, and look, you can be a Hindu, but like, what we want to do is we want to seek the truth. We want to be maximally truth-seeking. And if you think that Hinduism is going to provide you with objective truth, great. Make your claim, back it up with evidence, and let's talk through it. Unfortunately for our friend there is exactly what Greg was saying. He believes in karma, but for absolutely no reason. And so you have to be able to instantiate whatever you believe with actual evidence. We have the evidence for Christianity, particularly in my opinion, we use the transcendental argument, which provides us with an objective truth and an objective proof that cannot be disproven. And so, where is his evidence? Where is his proof for the things that he wants to lay on us? Because everybody wants to get their point across, if you will. But almost nobody wants to offer that evidence. So,
well, there's good news and bad news, and I'll stop picking on you, doctor, because you're not here to defend yourself. But yeah, see, that's why I'm saying I'm going to stop picking on you.
Oh,
but I would
left?
say
Oh,
no.
sorry.
I mean, no, he's in the audience, but I moved him down. But so we're going to move on. But I would say there's good news and bad news eternally. But in this case, it's if karma was true, you've just got a lot of bad karma on yourself by acting disingenuously, and if it was true, you would come back as an absolute banana slug. The good news is it's not true. It's not a gauge. Jesus Christ can save you. So consider that. Daniel, what's up, Daniel?
How's it going, everybody?
Pretty bad.
I just wanted to make a brief comment. I hope everyone's well. But just to whatever unbelievers perhaps are listening, I would make the argument that our time and our energy is going to be better spent criticizing Islam as opposed to Christianity. For obvious reasons, I think that our values are overlapping more with Christianity. Secular humanism perhaps has more overlap than it does with Islam, which is Islam has sort of a terrestrial caliphate type of political element to it. So I think that I really do think that for those that are unbelievers, that we should be focusing our energies on the criticism of Islam. And I also wish that I would see more Christians not feeling like, particularly within the United States, feeling a sense of safety because it's happening in Europe and it's over in other parts of the world. But I think people should know at least the basics of Islam, and start taking and understand how to have apologetics against it. And there are lots of them. So yeah, so that's just a twofold message. I wish that I saw more apologetics from Christians against Muslims, not in a hateful way, in an intellectual way, and more apologetics from atheists directed towards something that is far more unlike the values we have, like Islam. We shouldn't be focusing on Christianity, I don't think. So that's my view.
Sounds pretty good to me. Chris, you're off mic. Do you want to say something before I run?
No, I totally agree with Daniel. I think that, I mean, this is what what's his face, God Delusion guy, Richard Dawkins is saying as well. Like, I think he sees the alarm bells in Great Britain as exactly what you're saying, Daniel. Which is, I guess, your PTR, which makes sense.
Yeah, Chris, I think that you can, like, you're going to have a greater reach than me to, like, maybe, because I've heard you listening in on some of the rooms, the Islam rooms, and I just think that with your reach, you'll be able to, like, maybe people that wouldn't be otherwise interested in developing apologetics against Islam, maybe that would be something that you'd be really good at doing.
Possibly.
But you don't see an urgency with it, though? Like, people are they're like, okay, yeah, let's let Islam go crazy and not, like, what the hell?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, look, I've never been particularly interested in Islam. I mean, like, one of my religion classes in college, I, like, skipped the Islam paper, and that my wife for the last 35 years has been making fun of me about it. But, like, yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know what the answer is, though. Is the answer, like, individual apologetics attempting to reach hearts and minds of individual Muslims? Sure, that can be part of the formula. Is it that we have to, like, especially if you're on the political left, I think that those folks are going to have a lot more impact if they are going to be receptive to your message, Daniel. So I think that, like, the flip side of that is, I think that, and I don't know what your politics are, and I'm not trying to assume anything, but I think that if people who are on the political left would be a little more forceful with, like, hey, why are we doing this stuff with it? Why are we importing millions of Muslims into our countries and asking those hard questions? I think Dawkins is somebody who's on the political left who's asking these questions, but it seems they're not having a lot of impact. I don't know.
Well, I think it's because it's serving their purpose. I mean, this is like the snake and the what was it? The snake and the turtle, or whatever it was. The story Trump told. There's like a million different versions of it, where it's like, you knew I was a snake before you let me in. The snake and the old woman, or whatever it is. Where right now it's like, I mean, it's like I ran in the 80s. Is that right? Where, like, the Muslims teamed up with I think it was China, right? Like, so, like, the Red Green Alliance. So, like, it's a myth. Well, it happened once. So it's like Muslims joined forces with communism, and I forget exactly, but it was in Iran. I think it was the 80s, when basically they joined with the communists to help fight whoever the other party was. So once they got rid of whoever the party they were fighting against in Iran, then those Muslims and communists turned on each other, and I guess the Muslims pushed them back or got their own country, or China didn't want to go any further. But that's what happens. So it's like the same thing. Some will say history repeats, history certainly rhymes, and it's happening again. So look at Europe. So like you have left people who hate conservative people, or liberals who hate conservative people in political power so much that they see their ideas stink on their own, and the will of the people is not with them. So there's all kinds of claims like coercion, fraud, subversion, all these different things. So they're like, we need an ally. So a lot of these liberal people are getting like this Marxist ideology, and that's not enough by itself. So now they're like, well, let's team up with Islam because they will vote with us, which is, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So conservatives usually are a lot more standoffish compared to against Islam. So Islam will unite with the liberal left, the extreme liberal left, who are communists, because it's like Iran all over again. So they will join forces in a red-green alliance that totally doesn't exist until it does, and that's why they're voting Democrat like 99-1. So if this goes on long enough, we see what's happening in Europe, and now people are starting to wake up in Europe. But when they wake up, they're like, "Oh, you're going to prison. Nope, that was hateful." They're like, "I didn't even do anything." So the people are waking up. Hopefully it's not too late, but that's happening in pockets of America now, and it's spreading. So again, if we don't wake up in time and realize all is lost, then when all the conservatives are overpowered and the liberal ideology has won with the help of Muslims and Islam, then Islam is going to turn hardcore on these like liberal Marxist wannabe communists who are not they don't have the political military might that some of the other countries of communism once did or still do. They're going to get eaten alive by Muslims, and there you go. Just like that, a new Muslim country is born. That is your geopolitical history of the day.
Well,
Chris?
yeah. Did you talk about what happened in Iran?
Literally.
Oh, I just missed
2 minutes ago.
I was on the phone. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
No, the Red-Green Alliance is really a thing, and you're totally correct. And I agree with Daniel. I think that he's right to, he's right to ask these questions, and so.
And I would say, I know, Daniel, you probably don't want this to be a religious point or a call to religion, but people who are on the conservative side, like atheists or, other religions or non-Christians who are on the conservative side, it's like it lacks some special oomph, and I would say that is Christianity. Like, they're aligning more with Christian morality, whether they know it or not or believe its origins or not. They are wanting to be on that side because they recognize what the other side is doing is way off base and way wrong. So they're cozying up to the right morality, the right side of things, but they're missing the real power behind it, which is the Christian God. So it's like, if more people on the conservative side, and I think you see, like, the Rogans and, Russell Brands, although they still may be missing the mark, they're getting more cozy to it. I think if they really latch on to the God of the Bible, that will be like conservatism done the right way. I mean, varying by country, but...
For sure, Nate. And if I could just I'll be brief. So, yeah, there's a taboo on the left where there's this idea that criticism of Islam is essentially a type of bigotry or racism. So I think there's something going on there with that is false, and at least I hope it's false. That we should be talking about these people, the ideas, and not these people, what color they are. But just to give a little what I've seen, having discussions over the past maybe year. So there's a strain of Islam. It's called Salafism. And what does Salafi mean, or Salaf? It means ancestors. So basically, it's a type of Sunni Islam from funding schools and community centers from Saudi Arabia. And what does it mean to say that you're a Salafi, or what is Salafism? Well, it's they want to get back to the first 3 generations of the teachings of Muhammad and the first 3 generations of his followers. So it's a movement that wants to purify all of this stuff that's sort of gathered throughout the centuries in Islam and get rid of it. They want to go back to a purer form, a more reactionary form, a more Islamist form. And that's what I see as being the movement, particularly within young men. And by the way, very talented young men, very bright young men. Unfortunately, you see it speaks to them. So just to be educated a little bit on the flavors of Islam and what's being discussed on or what the trends are now. It's this idea that it's time to get back to the first three generations, and so that's the Islamist lesson of the day. But thank you for letting me speak.
Sure. All right, everyone. I guess I'm going to be out of here, so we'll see you tomorrow. Everyone have a good day.
Thanks, buddy.
See you guys later.
Bye.
All right. That is a good lesson. Okay, everyone. Like, share, subscribe. Check out askachristianpodcast.com. We'll see you later.